Into the iris.
Огонь по готовности.
Pass into the iris.
Огонь по готовности.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's nighttime on that camera picture of that city, which means it's the Watchpoint Postshow. The action keeps rolling here in Stage 3. We're live from the Blizzard Arena. I'm your host, Chris Puckett, and I got the crew as always. We've got our trusty analyst, Zoe, Brenji, Sideshow. Guys, we're back. It's Stage 3, the longest day ever to start Stage 3.
What a way! What a
But
way
we
to
made
start
it.
it.
We did. We survived.
I loved it though. I think we really kicked things off with a great game, unexpectedly so. And it was a bit of a back and forth
Chengdu
everyone.
versus Guangzhou goes down in history as one of the most entertaining DPS film
Up until map
fiestas of all
4.
time. Yeah, just watch
But we don't
Eichenwald.
talk about
Just
that one,
watch
I guess.
Eichenwald. But we got to talk about the match we just saw tonight, guys. That was the Valiant, who just won Game 4 up against the Dragons. But if we look back, it was all Dragons in the first half. They were up 2-0 after taking Oasis and Paris. But let's talk about what happened in Map 3. I saw a Doomfist come out, which made me happy.
Yeah, they're playing a bunch of different stuff here, Shanghai, which I like. They're expanding their repertoire. They don't look like they're rusty at all, which we started the day out with a pretty rusty shock, honestly. So it's impressive that Shanghai have been able to keep that momentum going that they ended Stage 2 with. Valiant found it really difficult to be able to crack this first point. Like, really difficult. They were just getting
Nimbani,
stuck.
well, that's the nature of Nimbani as well. I think it's equally favoured towards attackers and defenders. They don't really have that advantage going for them, like they do on a lot of other maps, Josh. I'll be here all week if you want to
I
learn
think,
any more.
I think the big surprise for me, though, guys, was that the Valiant was able to take this map 4 on Gibraltar. Yes, you have Shanghai, who already locked up the series with that map 3 win, but what did you see from Valiant? They started to show some signs of life with the full hole.
Well, really, it was one on the defense, and even though Shanghai Dragons had the right approach, they just couldn't get any value out of their EMPs. Weird.
Yeah.
On
Well,
their
I think
attack, they just couldn't do anything.
It was Valiant as well, setting up a lot of plays to deny Ding. A lot better in that last map. For whatever reason, they decided to turn up a little bit more in that map 4. I'd love to know the statistics, actually, of how many times a map 4 is won when a series is already lost. That'll be an interesting one for
the
me.
attacker
but-
just taking their foot off the gas.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
All right, in the end, the Valiant kind of staying at the bottom of our leaderboard, but Shanghai, as Josh mentioned, definitely a team to look out for in Stage 3. Another team to look out for in Stage 3, so is the Guangzhou Charge. They put on a show for us going up against the Hunters.
They truly did. I mean, both teams brought it, and it was not a big surprise. We've seen both of those teams double a lot with DPS-heavy comps, and they did just that, and it was about as entertaining as it can get. We saw everything coming out of those teams, including some of their new players, which was fantastic to watch. Overall, Guangzhou Charge looked incredibly cohesive. I loved how well they played around their Zombra player, Eileen, who has been stepping it up, and Happy also being back on that Widowmaker from time to time. It was absolutely beautiful. Very great game from Guangzhou.
The Charging to be happy with this result. Obviously, they had a terrible Stage 2. All things considered, now this is their opportunity to start to get a couple of these more easier wins. But the one takeaway that I found was most interesting from this was that Chengdu Hunter is a team that we normally think about for their DPS compositions and playing a lot of Wrecking Ball, seemed to get outmatched in that regard against Guangzhou Charge. But when it came to the actual head-to-head GOATS matchup, at least a little bit later on, maybe not in the earlier part of the series, it seemed that Chengdu was kind of having the better side of it. So
Yeah, we
it's
didn't
an
really
interesting
see
flip.
triple tank, triple support until that map 4, so a bit confusing there. Josh, when we focused on the DPS players, though, did any one player individually shine?
I would say potentially Eileen, but I don't really think that it came down to DPS, as weird as that sounds, because we had a lot of DPS being played. I think it was more to do with the game plan that Charge came into it with. You can see them here running a composition that's specially crafted. It's what we saw running, or being run rather, from a lot of teams last season when we got towards the playoffs, and they just had a bunch of different comps that they could bring out to put a lot of pressure on Chengdu and set the tempo of the match. It was always Chengdu having to react. That doesn't normally happen.
Yeah.
Look at that 6-man Earth Shatter as well.
Well, that tends to happen when you break the Orisa shield.
Yes.
You know, it's pretty easy.
If you missed that Eichenwald game, make sure and go back and watch it on the VODs. Here is a look at map number 4 in Chengdu. They were looking for a map win as well.
This was the interesting one for me because they brought in Jichiren. It's his first time playing on the main stage. It's his first showing. And again, this kind of brought in a Reinhardt specialist that they were lacking with Eamon. And they brought it into this Chengdu Hunters, a team with already good teamwork as it stands. And their GOATs was nothing to be scoffed at, in my opinion. It's something that they can improve upon, of course, like any other team. But it adds a dangerous element to the Chengdu Hunters.
I don't think they should bother. Honestly, like the Chengdu Hunters are so good at other stuff, and their whole style is around throwing people off. I mean, this was the point that we were making in the pre-show as well.
Sure.
If you're good at different compositions, why are you now trying to go back to GOATs as well? I don't know.
Because
like,
it has been proven as the superior comp. Like,
right, but Jichiren's not the kind of player that's going to be able to carry you through these games. Like, he wasn't an unbelievable nut on Ryan. He was just playing his role relatively well.
But Josh, swear on Coca-Cola that you think, right, that is not the best way to play, because these players, they need to be playing with the mindset that they can win it all at the end of the year.
No, they don't. They need to be playing with the mindset that they need to get into 12th place and then win their way and go on a hot streak towards the end of the league. That's how the Chengdu Hunters are going to win the league.
I would never
Are you
want to
saying
coach
that you are not swearing on the official refreshment of the Overwatch League?
I will not. I will not take the oath that Brent has tried to make me take.
Final question on this series in particular. So we saw some new faces. We mentioned it. Nero is in the lineup today for the Charge. We saw Jichiren come in for that Game 4 for the Hunters. Who are you more excited to see more of in the future?
That's got to be Nero. I think his performance on those projectile heroes has been nothing but outstanding. He did say in his post-game interview that he was nervous. I did not see that. In his game, it did not really look like he had any kind of jitters. He gelled really well with that team. It already looked so cohesive. I can't wait to see more of that.
Well, if you're a Charge fan, that's great news. If he thinks he's playing terrible, well, only better things can come. Guys, we're going to a break. When we come back, we'll talk about Atlanta. Are they Giant Slayers? I'll tell you after the break. Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Keep it up.
Hey,
Keep it up.
calm. Reset. Deep breath. Okay.
After this, I'm going to call Rascal a feeder.
Hey, come on.
Hey, Rascal's a feeder! Nice.
Ah, Dogman being canine human. Gotta love it. All right, let's talk about this match, guys. Shock versus Rain. On paper, it was a good one. Rain had just toppled NYXL in back-to-back matches, going up against another juggernaut in the Stage 2 champs. Things were looking good early on here for the Rain.
Yep.
I'll be real though.
Whoa.
On paper, I didn't actually believe that this would be good at all. I thought Shock was going to come out and dominate Atlanta because they're only good against the slow-paced teams. So it's a crazy surprise to me that this was as close as it was.
Well, a big part of this, I think, is it also comes from my disappointment of Shock, right? I've always liked Shock because they've come into their matches, no holds barred, they've just gone for it, and they've absolutely went for the jugular every single time. Doesn't matter how weak their opponents are, they've always just tried to get a clean sweep. They've always, you know, tried to minimize a lot of their mistakes. This is a sloppy match from Shock.
Yeah.
This is a very sloppy match.
They kind of went like, you know, do or die on everything Super did. And Super was very liberal in his charges and yeeting his chapters in. So he wasn't quite as careful, I would say. And the team very often lost their fights. However, they also won the majority of the fights based on his fat shatters. So it was a do or die really scenario where they very much relied on that. Overall, as you said, very sloppy.
Moth missing a few sound barriers, but they still get the win on Paris here on Hollywood. This one was fun to watch. We haven't seen a ton of this map. What did we learn in this one, guys?
I think, again, it's just that the Atlanta Reign had a good plan of putting a lot of focus on Super and really pressuring him out, and a lot of players kind of lost it on the Shock. And coming into Gibraltar as well, this could have been an opportunity for Atlanta to just take the series 3-1. And the San Francisco Shock, I think, are a little lucky that they managed to even take it to a fifth.
I agree.
Good.
I agree
Wonderful.
with that, Josh.
It's weird,
A big
though,
part of
because-
it was the fact that Massa was getting away with murder as well. And Moth had an uncharacteristically bad game coming out from him, which is unusual. Like, normally this guy is Mr. Consistent. He's the unsung hero of the Shock in a lot of ways because he's setting up the plays and allows him to play this aggressive play style in the first place. Didn't really see it too much coming out from this series.
And then the Shock did show that they are the champions from Stage 2. They recomposed, and honestly, if you watched Oasis, this was a blowout, guys.
Yeah, they totally crushed them on Oasis, but I think this was also a mental cracking from Atlanta.
Okay.
Because they had a horrific play on Gibraltar that I'll have to go through
my
afterwards.
goodness.
And then they have this where they're just all over chasing Sinatra.
Big brain.
I mean, the second round got a little closer again. They took it to 99 to 99, and I do think that's actually impressive because in the past, I don't think Atlanta did very well with like this kind of crisis management. I do think the fact that they were able to compose themselves and put themselves together and still take it the distance in the very end is actually very telling.
Now, I love the tweets from Baby Bay. He was saying CHB Troy Hilbin got the best of him in some of these fights. Troy Hilbin negating 4 ults, and Baby Bay whiffed some of the big grabs towards the end of that series. He mentioned that the nerves got to him, but it felt great to be playing back at this high caliber level. But Josh, you mentioned it. Game 4, there was a big blunder that seemed to get in everybody's head.
Oh, so many blunders. There's actually 2 that I'm going to go through. The first one's from Gibraltar, though. I mean, just take a look at this. It made me so angry watching it. I mean, Monte Cristo gave credit to Sinatra, but look at this. They're 2-1 up. If Atlanta win, they can take the entire series. This overtime, this is really important, right? This is really important. You need to pay attention to this. And the thing that you need to stay close to avoid the overtime ending is this, the payload, the car,
yes.
right? You guys know that? You remember that from your ranked games?
Yep.
So let's take a look at what happens here. Atlanta Reign have double supportal. Popo shatters. He catches Rascal and Sinatra. They have to use their sound barrier, so now San Francisco Shock have no support ults available once this disappears. Well, Violet will be able to get his up. But still, Atlanta have a big advantage. Oh, wait a second. What happened there? No, this is the next clip. Wind it backwards. What happened there? Oh, they just walk off the cart. Popo just walks off the cart.
Is that wick burning down?
Yeah, that
Is it
wick
going away?
is disappearing.
Oh, it's gone.
There you go. It's gone.
That's
but we got a new
brutal.
one, a new wick.
A new wick. Okay, so this time, this is on the 5th map. Sinatra here is under so much pressure, and they've already killed Baby Bay as well. This is the really important thing. Once you have a Zarya and the other team doesn't, you have a massive advantage as long as you can keep him alive. And so Atlanta are just like gunning for Sinatra the whole time. They push him out, Sinatra peeks back in, he's like, oh, is it safe? Oh no, 4 people with a sound barrier. So then he loops around, and instead of playing smart, Atlanta just jumps straight after him. All get sucked into the grab, and they end up not really C9ing because they got dragged off the point.
Yeah.
They end up not having it. I mean, look at that.
There's a magnet.
Wow,
What's
and
you
those are
call
2
that?
really winnable situations for the Atlanta Reign, and they beefed them both.
Unlucky. comes
Josh,
to mind.
on a 0 to like prime meat, how big was that beef?
That was 3 cows.
Prime meat.
It's the primest of
Prime
meat.
whole
meat.
cows.
That's
And
a
then
May 5
Wagyu, but I was
Wagyu
like-
beef right there.
The primest of beef. We heard a little bit of trash talk going from the K9 human to start off the match, but I think it was the Shock who got the final laugh.
Ooh.
You guys catch that one live?
Wow.
Because I loved it.
Oh, that's so good.
Oh, defeated the owl. I didn't was a spoon. No, just
Brett
thought it was a
starting to
hand.
read. That was excellent. Love it, love it. We're going to keep this show rolling. Guys, if you like the alternate jerseys that we saw during the Shock in Rain match, well, I got great news because you can get one for yourself. The third kit collection features brand new team design jerseys from 15 of our teams. You can get them right now on fanatics.com or shop.overwatchleague.com. Good plug. Which one are you buying, Zoe? None. They gave it to us
Spark.
free.
No, I only got one for free. Spark is the one I'm going for.
Yep.
Yeah,
I like
Lovely.
it.
Which one has the most Coca-Cola branding on it? The official sponsor of the Overwatch?
Ooh, knowing that Coca-Cola is based out of Atlanta, I
Probably
think
Atlanta.
maybe
No,
they're
it's
right
Peaches.
eventually.
It's Coca-Cola.
Yeah, there's none.
I'm
I've
sure
already
there's a
checked.
peach
I
flavored
already
Coke
checked.
in the mix. Let's talk about the last but not least match here, guys. It's the Mayhem going up against the Dynasty. The Dynasty, one of our 7-7 teams, able to improve to 8-7 and break into our top 10. And they did it with a perfect, clean map count. You can see some new names in here, though. Fate got a chance to play for the Mayhem.
Yeah, I was actually more excited on the other side, though, to be perfectly frank. I was
tell me
super
about
excited. Hailey had a fantastic debut. Of course, it's also easy to have fantastic stats if your team is kind of rolling. That always helps a bunch, you know. But on top of Hailey being the new face on the stage, we also saw Fleda back in the mix. I already talked about it during our halftime of that match. He hasn't been playing throughout the entirety of stage 2. So for them to bring him back in together with Fisher, who only played one match in the last stage, was actually great to see. And I mean, they have a very big roster. They have a lot of names they can field.
Are they
So
just going to
I
put them
wonder-
all back in the box now, though?
I don't know. I mean, now they took them out of the box, so they lost value. You know how it is with mint condition kind of toys. I don't know where this reference is going whatsoever.
It's like Toy Story 5. Fisher used to be Woody.
One of the things that Wolf said during the cast is that a lot of people think of these Soul like fielding their B teams and whatnot, or their C teams, their F teams, however many teams they've
They
got.
only have 2. They've got 12 players.
Well, there's an unlimited amount of combinations you can make with that many players, Josh.
True.
But
Permutations.
yes, but the point I'm making is that maybe they're just fielding a lot of different strengths and trying to kind of like poke and prod and see where a lot of their strengths are going to lie with the different mixtures. I mean, again, there's still room for experimentation. They can still make playoffs.
I found it interesting that they started the match that way, but I like that we saw a lot of highlight today, some new faces, including Illicit. Brent, let's talk about some of the new faces for the Mayhem, though. This is a team that is at the very bottom of our 20-team leaderboard. They need to make moves, they need to make changes, and they've started to implement some new faces into their rosters.
Yeah, but it's not enough, is it? I mean, we've got Byram in, we've got Fate in, and yes, that's a great start because, again, these are some of the biggest weak points, realistically speaking. But as Scott Tester said during his interview today, during one of our halftimes, you know, this is just the start of the changes they're going to be making. So I'm hoping to see a lot more out of Florida Mayhem, and this wasn't a good match to see what they're capable of as players. We know that Fate is a tried and tested guy. He's played for the Valiant for the longest time.
Yeah.
He's put up good results with them. We know that he's a good player. Last year, Josh, sure, but we know he's got experience in that leadership role and that capability. We know it's there.
What about Byron? Was he better than Hagapyun today?
Mate,
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. But again, this is one game that we're judging this performance off, and I feel like that's not even the weak point. One of the biggest issues for me with Florida Mayhem is the fact that they've got their best Sombra player is also their best Zarya player, and they're constantly playing this musical chairs with Zephyr playing a role he's uncomfortable on, playing a Zarya a lot of the time, and it puts them in these weird positions where they can't change off it because they're going to lose their ult economy with their Graviton Surge, one of the largest ultimates in the game, and they're in this weird position where they're just deciding whether or not they have to run this comp. They're forced to run certain comps in those scenarios. So they've got bigger issues than I think those two players coming in. It's too early to tell.
You need to get that new roster in the starting lineup right now. Get these new players moving and all in the right direction. Josh, we did see a new map at the end of this series, though, and I personally am loving seeing it outside of my ranked games. I've lost all my ranked games on Havana, but the teams are starting to show us how to play it. What did you learn on our first day?
I learned that we might never see point C ever on Havana because it looks like it's unbelievably defensively favored.
Look at this high ground. Look at this.
Yeah, well,
look at this sightline on high ground, bro.
Yeah, but this isn't. I don't think this is going to become too powerful because eventually you're going to break through this, and it just is going to take time off the clock.
Eventually.
And then if you put too much weight there, you're not really going to be able to defend point A. This is the tricky area, though. I mean, you've got so much high ground. You've got like 3 bridges that you have to go underneath. it's going to be really difficult for teams to be able to break through this kind of area. It looks quite defensively favored. I think it's probably going to be pretty good for Sombra because you need those EMPs to be able to keep pushing on the offense. As for Point C, we literally haven't seen it played yet. I could see some Orisa comps being viable for Point B and possibly even Point C too. But I think Florida had a decent plan and they nearly managed to take it as well in the final moments. But then they all just decided to stay on the cart and get grabbed instead. It was, if I hadn't done the breakdown of Atlanta throwing their game away, I would have done the breakdown of Florida throwing their game away as well, because they were comparable. It's just that it's slightly lower skill.
Coca-Cola player of the match. That's not a thing, but we could make it.
Not a thing, Bren. Not a thing. It's sold to somebody else. On that note, guys, we're going to commercial break. When we come back, we got the most over-the-top moments coming up. It's the Watchpoint Post Show.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
And we're back with the Watchpoint Post Show. Bren, do us the honors.
It's the over-the-top moments of the day. In number 5, we've got Star Power. Look at these guys. They're a team. They're not. They're not a team.
You
at all.
ruined it.
Yeah, you ruined it.
Why did you try and grab my
I
hand?
couldn't
grabbed an
see a
elbow.
hand.
How did you grab an elbow as the next best thing
Look
to
at this.
do?
Look at this. I couldn't see the hand. I just grabbed the first limb that was in front of me. I couldn't see
Yeah,
a
but
hand.
This is mine.
I should have had Josh's hand.
Next up, we got Yang Zhao along with a McCree hitting up the 4K, opens it up with the Deadeye, finishes it off with a nice little kill there. Cheeky onto Rio. Beautiful stuff.
Not bad, actually. This was pretty clean, to be honest.
It
just
was.
taking out Nero, like really nice flick over to him, and then the flashbang on the
Bren,
Jara.
I'm removing your power, so it's your turn.
Wait, what's happening? Okay, you're gonna throw me off like that, but look at that. Hanzo's finding 4 on Havana. I can read a lower third.
Illicit did work today.
No, Illicit, yeah, we finally saw him back in the lineup. That was actually pretty exciting. I think he did pretty good. Then again, his team was kind of rolling at the Mayhem. So, yeah, good on him.
Yeah, never really seen him play before. Didn't really know what was, in his wheelhouse. So nice to see that he could play the Hanzo.
Number 2, we've got the highly unlikely Clutch coming
That's
out.
funny.
And I mean, you say
That's
Clutch,
funny.
but really it's the Florida
Look at this.
Mayhem.
Why is
beefing
the
a little
whole of
bit.
Florida on the floor? Like, actually, why are they all on the floor? The only way they lose that is if they're all on the floor. Why are you all on the floor?
Scott
Can you not
Tester
jump?
wishes to add you as a friend.
Or get up.
Yeah.
Just get up top, please. You need to respect the high
Get
ground.
off the floor, guys. Get a bunk bed. All right, Sinatra gets your #1 spot today here. Tell me why, Bren.
Well, he gets a grab, and he grabs him off the point, and the Twitch chat would call that one a Charlie Niner. I just call that playing bad.
Or maybe
mic
Sinatra
drop.
just played fantastic. Maybe that was just a big,
Yeah, maybe-
big brain
maybe it was
play
a big
from
brain.
Sinatra.
They
Give it some
they
credit.
pressured Dogman off the point at the same time, which makes me think that it was like a set
It
play.
was super doing it.
And I
yeah.
think Sinatra may have told the rest of his team to just run in here and feed, essentially, because Pascal shouldn't really be in there, but he perfectly baits him into the ground.
I loved it. They baited him in and they punished it for the win. Here's a look at our Twitch Cheer Bits leaderboard. In the #1 spot, as always, it's the Atlanta Reign. The Spark jumping up the #2 spot with the Excel Dallas Fuel and Houston Outlaws in your top 5. When it comes to the individual Bits leaders, let's take a look at some of the big names.
Wow, it's
New
it's
names.
new.
Look at that. Look at that.
Reset. Okay.
Only 40,000 on day 1, Peppa Palm.
Wow.
Hold your horses here, buddy.
I could jump in here and steal the #3
Everyone get a
spot.
favorite. Come on, take one.
55 marshmallows,
yours?
I recognize that Twitch.
My favorite is Pepino Pom.
Okay,
being
I
#1.
like Kobayashi Senpai.
I like that a lot.
Pretty good.
Danny.
Crash Override. Big fan, man.
Not a
Nice
silver.
#8 spot. Guys, while we're speaking of Twitch, we should also remind you, if you don't already, we're halfway through the season, which means you still have another half to use your all-access pass. Get that right now so you can join us for the Q&A. We got Gamsu from the Shanghai Dragons exclusively on twitch.tv immediately after the show. When we come back, we take a look ahead at a big Friday. 4 major matches going down. We'll talk all about it on the other side of the break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, now connecting 99% of Overwatch League fans. Catch your league on America's network, T-Mobile.
Taking a look ahead at tomorrow, we've got the Paris Eternal kicking things off against the Toronto Defiant. Boston versus London in the rematch of the Revolutionary War. Houston will battle against the NYXL, and the hometown heroes, the LA Gladiators, at 9-5, face another 9-5 team, the Dallas Fuel, for a top 4 spot. So a lot of great games here. Let's talk about some of our favorites. I want to go down the line. Zoe, starting with you, which match has you most pumped up for?
Yes, I get to start and take away the match of the day. It's going to be Dallas versus Gladiators. They're currently pretty even, and when I say pretty even, is they're actually even in the standings, so I'm not sure why I said pretty. But I think this is going to be a very close game, or I hope it's going to be a very close game. I'm very, very excited for that one.
What about you, Brenji?
I'm going to be real with you. Listen, I'm looking forward to Boston, London, but the Revolutionary War business, there's a reason we don't teach it in our schools.
Because you lost.
Because it doesn't matter. Because we've been in so many wars. Again, don't even know why I'm boasting about this. We've been in so many wars, it's insignificant on the roadmap of the British Empire.
Yeah, we've inflicted so much suffering on so many people. The Revolutionary War is just a blip on the radar.
So you're excited for the video
Yeah.
game match tomorrow, right,
Yeah,
guys?
exactly. I'm very excited for the video game match between the Boston Uprising and the London Spitfire. Let's just stop bringing it up, yeah?
All right.
I'm going to agree with Zoe. I'm looking forward to Dallas facing the Gladiators. This could be depending on the outcome of the London game, depending on if they stomp Boston, this is probably going to be the decider for who's fourth in the standings as well. Now, Shanghai Dragons are fourth in my heart, but when you actually look at the table, it's probably going to be one of these two teams.
I have to say, the Charge showed us a lot today. This is a team to contend in Stage 3. I'm hoping the same is for Paris and or Toronto. Honestly, I think that first game is going to tell us a lot about what we expect to see. Let us know in the chat which games have you fired up. We'll be back tomorrow bright and early at 3:30 Pacific for your Watchpoint pre-show. For now, go watch that Q&A. It's Gamsu, baby. Thanks for watching. We'll see you then.
It's time for the Stage 2 finals. San Francisco Shock taking on the Vancouver Titans.
We've all been waiting for this moment.
They must be so fired up to come in and get revenge on the Titans.
This is a marquee